Merry Christmas. Before I begin the sermon, I just want to say that it has been a joy and a delight to be with you through this Advent and Christmas season. Next Sunday, Pastor Sarah will be back with you, and she is looking forward to being back amongst your midst. She has missed being with you. She's still moving a little slow, but she's feeling much, much better from her surgery. So she appreciates all of your thoughts and prayers and cards and kindness while she has been recovering. But I truly do appreciate your warm welcome over these last few weeks and how you have welcomed my family and I, so thank you. A Christmas song that I heard played quite frequently this Christmas is a John Lennon song, and its refrain says, "A very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's hope it's a good one, without any fear." With no insult intended to John Lennon, this does not seem like a New Year's resolution that will be coming true anytime soon. Bombs were dropped as Christians gathered to sing Silent Night this year. And when we reflect on that, we are forced to ask what it means to be sacred beings in a very unholy world. As followers of Christ, we are called to sacred acts of justice and mercy, to bring grace to a hurting world, to reflect Christ in all that we do. Richard Rohr writes in The Universal Christ, "It is not God who is violent. It is not God who demands the suffering of humans. We do. God does not want or need suffering, neither in Jesus nor in us." Jesus wasn't born to suffer for us. Jesus was born to live in the world we have created without God. In joining us in the world in which we live, God is showing us that there is another way. There are other options. There is a hope which comes from a deep place of love and joy, leading us to peace. Jesus shows us how to live in the reality of the world in which we find ourselves, while also claiming the good news, a good news that declares, "Your God reigns." In the first years of Jesus' life, we are told that his family is forced to flee to Egypt. Herod the Great heard a prophecy of the birth of a future king of the Jews, and he made a decision that that threat had to be eliminated. When his first attempt to kill Jesus failed, he sent his soldiers and had them kill all of the Jewish infants 2 years old and younger in Bethlehem and in its vicinity. Herod lived in fear. He feared the threat to his power. He feared what hope would do to the people under his rule. Herod feared, and fear led to awful, awful violence and murder. Fear breeds evil. And even when one source of fear is gone, another source creeps up in its place. What God offers us is not protection from the consequences of fear. The good news that we are brought in this season is that God continues to break through fear and evil to offer us something that is, in fact, life-giving, a song of comfort and redemption. During this Advent season, we found the sacred reflected in time and people, places, knowledge, and even within ourselves. And now, knowing where we see the sacred reflected, we are called to action, to the sacred doing, to respond to the good news that has been born in Jesus Christ. Just as Jesus came to be with us in the midst of our suffering, so we are called to be with those who suffer in our world. Reverend Eugene Park points out, according to Jeremiah 40, verse 1, Ramah is the temporary gathering place for the people of Judea who are being deported to Babylon after the fall of Jerusalem. Rachel symbolizes a matriarch of Israel who is weeping for the children of Israel, those who are lost, metaphorically speaking, because of the imperial conquest by Babylon. Jesus and his family flee to the place where people gathered when they were scattered across the empire of Babylon. Jesus and his family flee to the place where people gathered hoping to find one another after being deported from their homes and their communities. Before being old enough to proclaim anything, Jesus' life reflects solidarity with those who are displaced from homes and communities, displaced from family, displaced from society. Jesus finds himself in the place where those who are alone and without hope go to find community and hope. Isaiah tells us that the feet of those who proclaim the word of the Lord are beautiful. Now, I don't know about you, but of all of the parts of the body that Isaiah could have chosen, the feet are not the part that I would call the most beautiful. Of course, I lived with teenagers, so you can imagine walking past our shoe rack at the house, right? Isaiah says that the person who has been running for miles and miles, whose feet are caked in sweat and dirt and dust, those feet are beautiful. The runner who brings the good news is beautiful because they have enabled the message of the one who proclaims peace, who brings good news, who proclaims salvation, who says to Zion, "Your God rules." We are sacred beings who are called to live as Jesus lived. We are the feet who bring the good news that our God does indeed still rule. And as we turn towards a new year, we are invited to rededicate ourselves to sacred acts of justice and mercy, to bringing grace to a hurting world, to reflect the sacred in all we do. Richard Rohr goes on to say, Jesus' life transforms human suffering by identifying completely with the human predicament and standing in full solidarity from beginning to end. Just as the sacred is present in all of the joy and the love that we experience, the sacred is present in all suffering. What gets reflected is that our suffering is connected to all other suffering, which is connected to the suffering of Christ. Too many in the world today find the harsh reality of suffering all too familiar, even during this most wonderful time of the year. No time, no place is safe from suffering. As soon as the Son of God is born and worshiped, evil threatens. The threat of King Herod is long gone today, but still wars continue to rage, cancers continue to metastasize, families are divided, the environment is destroyed. Evil seems to still have the upper hand. Yet as a sacred people, we are called to look directly into the evil of the world, into the suffering and the division, and ask how we are called to be the messenger who brings the good news that evil will not have the last word. Mostly, I have found, sacred doing is simply showing up where evil overwhelms and being present with those who suffer. By being present with the suffering of others, we remind them that no matter their circumstances, they too reflect the sacred. Joy does not ignore the suffering of God's people. Singing arises out of the moments when a battle has been fought and death is confronted. Today, in the midst of the 12 days of Christmas, the Christmas spirit does not call a pause on all the things that cause suffering. Today, jobs are still lost and evictions still happen. Poison is still poured into the ground. Bombs still fall. Families are still torn apart. In the midst of death, a song arises, rejoicing in a promise. We are those who sing. We are those who remind the world that while the promise is yet to be fully fulfilled, there are reflections of the sacred everywhere, even in the midst of our suffering. We are invited to be instruments of grace and mercy. And in doing so, we become God's agents of peace and healing in the world. We go out from the miracle of the Nativity, from the miracle of the birth of Christ, to a life where we are reflecting the sacred with grace, with mercy, with steadfast love. So maybe John Lennon did get it right after all. As we move out of this Christmas season into a new year, let's hope it's a good one, without any fear for the messengers of God who bring the good news that our God indeed still rules. Amen. I invite you to spend the next 5 minutes reflecting on the sermon. There are questions in the bulletin and on the screen. You're invited to use the blank space to write reflections, or you may turn to your neighbor and reflect with one another.